Hello and welcome to a very special Halloween edition of Character Creation. Today we are going to be taking a look at Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I was planning on waiting till Bloodlines 2 was a little closer to being launched, but it was just delayed, so yeah, let's go ahead and get this out for Halloween, hopefully. So here we have the MrGone's version of the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition 2-page sheet. So you can see, 2 pages, very simple. This is what the by-the-book character sheet looks like. It's not a bad character sheet all in all, though I do think they put a little more time in making it look a little fancy, and not so much time in it being efficient. The MrGone sheet, as you can see, has attributes, skills, disciplines, as well as tenets, touchstones, bane, and your blood potency. Bane and blood potency were actually relegated to the 2nd page. This means that in the MrGone version, the 2nd page has advantages, but is almost all biography, history, and fluff. Great for building out your character and just kind of making them people. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the most important thing. In any character creator, the most important thing is the character. You're going to want to come up with an idea, something that, like, this is what the character's going to be, this is what they are to me, and this is how I plan on playing them. That's what the character concept comes in. Character concept is a straightforward, this is what I am, who I am, and how I'm going to be me. I've decided that I want to make a bit of a stealth character, somebody who can get into a fight and hold his own, but is mostly there to kind of get information. So I'm just going to throw ninja. So yeah, I'm gonna build a ninja. That being said, I'm gonna name him Iki. It's an inside joke that some of you might get. Now, Chronicle, as before with other World of Darkness things, Chronicle is the alternative name for a campaign. So we're just gonna go ahead and throw in YouTube. I think that T is supposed to be capitalized. We're going to skip this middle bar or column for a moment and move straight over to the vampire column. So, I am a Generation 13. The reason I'm doing this is because it is the most straightforward generation. It is the lowest you can be to be a true vampire, and what most brand new, out-of-the-box vampires will be. If you want to be anything higher, as in 12, 11, etc., you're going to need to talk to your storyteller. They might actually even put you at a higher generation due to points in the storyline being where they are. That also gives you experience point totals that you can add to your character creation. But we're just going to straight on child at level or generation 13. Now for clan, I've decided I want to go for Nosferatu. There are 2 main reasons I'm going with this clan. The first off being that I want to be a character who is stealthy, so that's stealth is a physical trait. I also want him to be able to hold his own in a fight while being kind of an information gatherer. That's physical and mental. Social being a downside, I can just kind of throw that in there. With Nosferatu's clan Bane of just being butt ugly. At the same time, Nosferatu has a clan discipline called Obfuscate, which I believe will be very useful in building my character. For sire, I'm just going to go with Sabu. He was my Sabu, he was my sire. Now for the center column, we have ambition, desire, and predator type. Ambition is a long-term goal. This will often take an entire chronicle, possibly multiple chronicles to complete. A desire is a short-term goal. This should usually be done in a single session. So anytime you work towards your ambition, you're going to get positives. Anytime you complete a desire, you're going to get positives. Finally, we have predator type. This is your primary form of hunting. Most predator types allow you to feed outside of it. However, this is just the day-to-day, this is how you normally hunt. And it does give you a couple of benefits. We'll go into that later in character creation when we get to the predator side. So, finally, we're going to go ahead and throw in our clan Bane. So, as a Nosferatu, we have the clan Banes of being repulsive, which is a 2-dot flaw. So we can go ahead and down here to the flaws, and in looking flaws, repulsive. This gives us a -2 to any social roll because we're just that ugly. We also get a Bane penalty whenever we try to disguise ourselves. I don't know why I just tried to put Q in disguise. That was weird. But yeah, we get a Bane penalty on disguise. And we'll go into that a little more when we get to the blood potency section. So yeah, this is our clan. And we can now start working on our attributes and skills. Now, in previous editions of World of Darkness, attributes and skills were done on a allotment system. So you would have a specific allotment depending on how good you were with those skills or attributes. You had primary, secondary, and tertiary, what you were good at, what you were okay at, and what you were bad at. And skills were also separated into physical, social, and mental as well. And then all of those, whatever you were good at, bad at, and better at, you would have an allotment of points. So for example, with a primary attribute, or your primary attribute, you would get 5 dots to place. However, in 5th edition, they've decided to go with more of a distribution model. Now, by the book, there's only one distribution model for attributes. That is 1 attribute at 4, 3 attributes at 3, 4 attributes at 2, and 1 attribute remains at 1. I do hope they kind of put out some more systems, and you can talk to your storyteller about maybe working with that a little bit if you want to have a more balanced-ish character. Though, to be fair, I think this is a very balanced build. And while I know what attributes I'm going to be putting in, let's go ahead and build this as if we were trying to discover ourselves. So, simple enough, everything has a minimum of 1. So, we're going to go ahead and put 1 dot in every attribute. Now, one of these attributes is going to remain a 1 while everything else gets stepped up to a 2. Now, since I'm Nosferatu, I'm probably going to put that into a social, so I'm thinking charisma. Everything else gets promoted to a 2 dot. From here, we have 8 dots at 2, 4 of which will remain at 2, 4 of which will move on. So, 2 of which, social, I'm just going to leave at 2. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a 3rd dot in wit, but mostly physical. That gives me a pretty good mind. Like, I'm decently intelligent, I'm decently witty, or I'm rather witty, but I'm very physical. And from here, of my 4 dots that have stepped to 3, 1 of them will go to a 4, dexterity. I am a stealth character, like I'm a ninja. Dexterity is important. Now, for skills, there are 3 sets of distributions as well, or in skills. Now, these 3 sets are Jack of all trades, which gives you 1 3, 8 2s, and 10 1s. Balanced, which gives you 3 3s, 5 2s, and 7 1s. And specialist, which gives you 1 4, and then 3 3, 3 2s, and 3 1s. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and build a specialist. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and make stealth our specialty. Obviously, we are a ninja, a stealthy character. So that's 4. Now, for the 3-pointers, I think I'm going to go with my information gathering. So, insight for information on people, awareness for information on the situation, and investigation for, well, investigation. This allows me to gain information on people, the area around me, and a very specific area that I'm investigating. From here, I believe we have 3 more. We have 3 2-pointers. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 points in brawl. I could take firearms or melee, as I have pretty high skills in both strength and dexterity, so all combat is pretty open to me. But I do know what predator type I'm going for, and brawl will help out with that. I'm also going to take 2 dots in larceny. This will give me the ability to pick locks and similar activities. and animal kinship. As a Nosferatu, I might need to eat an animal, so it kind of behooves me to let them love me. Also, just in simple, there is a discipline animalism, which is also a clan discipline for Nosferatu, and it also often will have animal kinship roles on it, so it's not a bad thing to have. For my 1-pointers, I think I'm going to go for... I know I need Streetwise, but I think that actually finishes off my character pretty well. I have 2 more 1-pointers, but I can't really think of anything I want to put them in, so maybe... let's go with an athletics. This will help me out being stealthy if I need to jump somewhere. And we'll go ahead and take a point in crafting. Now, once we have our skills finished out, we gain a free specialty in any skill or in the skills of academics, crafting, performance, and science. Hey, look, we have crafting. So I think I don't really want anything, or my character doesn't need crafting to be very character specific. So if this was D&D, I might do like trap making or something. But I think instead I'm going to go with cooking. So whenever I'm crafting something food-wise, I get a bonus. Maybe my character was a cook before he died. Maybe it's a passion he picked up after he died. Not sure, but cooking sounds pretty good. That being said, we also get 1 universal specialty. So this is a specialty you can pick for anything. I'm going to put it in my stealth, and this one I am going to kind of work into my build a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and just put it in hiding. So whenever I need to hide, I get a bonus dice for hiding, which with a 4 in dexterity, a 4 in stealth, I'm looking at 9 dice for a hide check right now. I think I'm doing pretty good. Now, we can go ahead and move from here down to our disciplines. Now, what I like to do is take and select the 3 clan disciplines, which for Nosferatu are Animalism, Obfuscate, and Potence. Then you get 2 dots in one discipline and 1 dot in a second discipline. I'm going to take the 1 dot in Animalism, and I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 dots in Obfuscate, for obvious reasons. Now, with Animalism, I'm going to get Bond Familius. Or is that... No, that's Bound. I'm bad at words. So this gives me the ability to kind of make a bond and bind an animal ghoul to me. And I can get a connection with them. This could be very useful if, say, I have a rat to help me get some information or something to that effect. For Obfuscate, my second level Obfuscate is going to be Unseen Passage. This will allow me to become invisible and kind of move through an area. To work with that one, instead of taking Cloak of Shadows, which would allow me to become invisible while standing still, I'm going to take Silence of Death. This allows me to kind of quell all noise around me. So, with this ability, I'm basically quiet. You can't hear me unless I make any outwardly noises, and I'm invisible, so I can kind of move around stealthily. I thought it was a pretty good build myself when I thought of it. If you were a caitiff, you could choose your own disciplines, though none of them count as clan disciplines. If you were a thin blood, you don't get disciplines, but as we're not building a thin blood, we'll go into that a little later. Actually, we'll probably just go into that in a separate video. So next, we're going to go ahead and pick our predator type. Now, as I've said before, this is a predator that this is how you hunt. This is how you eat. So, the predator type I've decided is alley cat. Alley cat predators are very muggerish. Instead of putting you in the back alley and, hey, give me your purse, I'm putting you in the back alley and taking a bite. So, yeah, that being said, the benefits we gain from our predator type do vary. You get at least one specialty. With Alley Cat, we have a specialty in brawling that is called grappling. This is actually really good because anytime that you want to bite somebody as an attack, you have to succeed a grapple check. Alternatively, if we would have went with firearms, and if we were better with social, we could have taken an intimidation specialty in sticking up, or stick-ups. Now, next, we get a discipline dot. We could take a discipline in celerity, which is supernatural speed, but we're going to go ahead and take it in potence. This gives us a very physically potent ability. Now, there are two potent abilities that would really help us out here, and that is either Lethal Body, which allows us to perform aggravated damage, so breaking bones and tearing flesh with our bare hands, which is great, but I think instead I'm going to go with Soaring Leap. Soaring Leap allows me to jump, or allows my character to jump 3 times the number of potence level vertically, or 5 times horizontally in meters. So that's 9 feet in the air, 3 meters, or 15 feet across with 5 meters. Like, that's enough to jump from building to building. That's jumping from the floor to the high roofs of many buildings, or at least like jumping from a first story to a second story window. You might need to climb a little, but that's most of the way. I think that'd be very useful for a ninja build. I mean, that's straight up some Naruto stuff. So yeah. And then finally, we gain a background. The background we gain is contact, and this one is specifically a criminal contact at level 3. Now, there are some downsides, because we are a physically abusive and dominating feeder. We do actually take a hit to our humanity. So we lose 1 dot of humanity, and we'll go into that a little more when we define our humanity. So yeah. Next, we're going to go ahead and start working with advantages. Now, we already do have a flaw for 2 points and an advantage for 3 points, but neither of those two matter for what we're about to do. So, we now will spend 7 points on advantages and 2 points on flaws, not counting what we already have. So, what I've decided is that I'm going to spend 3 points on the feeding merit of Iron Gullet. This will allow me to eat blood from dead people. This will allow me to eat blood off of the floor, from like bad blood, old blood. Just, it helps me feeding. And as a stealthy character who might not be able to be as physically into buying bags of blood at the local grocery store, this could be very useful. I think I'm just going to go ahead and dunk the rest of my points into resources. So this will give me 4 points of resources. At 4 points in resources, I am a millionaire, basically. I have mansions, I have my own private jet, pretty much everything money can buy. So this is really nice to have a character who has that. Yeah, a ton of money. Now, for my flaw, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the hurting flaw, obvious predator. It's a 2-point flaw, which gives me a -2 social skills, because I just give off that negative vibe. I give off the vibe of, I'm going to hurt you. So people are terrified of me. That being said, that's -2, I believe, from hurting, from obvious predator, and -2 from my repulsive. So that's a -4 to social skills. That kind of really cements in the fact that I am not a social person. Now, that minus does max out at a minus, or like does limit yourself to 1 dice. So -4 on a 2 dice roll still can do something, but my character is very antisocial. And honestly, I think that's probably a good thing. Well, not a great thing, but it kind of does put my character into, he has his limits, he has his strengths. So, From here, we will move to our convictions, touchstones, and tenets. So, a conviction is kind of a commandment you give yourself. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt love thy neighbors. Slavery is evil. Personal beliefs that hold you to your humanity. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is very, very uncontroversial. I'm just going to protect the children. Now, with every conviction you choose, you will have to choose a touchstone. A touchstone is a living person who embodies your conviction. So, I protect the children. It's kind of my personal thing, how I keep myself grounded. If I see somebody attacking a children, I will just straight up kill them. So, there's a little girl named Sarah. She lives on the street. She's homeless, and I occasionally feed her, and I've protected her a few times. Just straight up somebody who's alive that you have made a connection with, and they are the living embodiment of your conviction. There isn't an E there. Now, a chronicle tenet, these are things chosen by your storyteller. These are tenets that everybody has to follow. So, again, things like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not enslave, thou shalt not torture, no raping, no pillaging, no murder hoboing. So, these are all things that the storyteller and the players agree upon as nobody in the campaign will do these things. So, I'm not going to throw any of those out there, but just know those do exist. And yeah, we're almost done, so let's go ahead and take a look at our character sheet. We are still missing our ambition and our desire. We have a homeless girl. My character's really bad with social, so I think I'm going to actually play up my ambition and desire based on how bad my character is with social situations. So maybe something like, oh, whoops, I knocked myself down. My character wants to open a homeless shelter. Actually, we're even going to go even more than that. I'm not sure why it's kicking me to the second page, but my character is going to open an orphanage. That's my ambition, to open an orphanage to protect all of the children. So, for a desire, we're going to find a suitable location. So, in the whole chronicle, my character is going to work towards opening an orphanage, and for session 1, part of my character is going to always be looking out for a good location to buy and retrofit into an orphanage. Let's see, what else are we missing on our character sheet? Health. Now, health in Vampire is stamina plus 3. So I have 3 stamina, that gives me 6 health. Now, normally in previous editions, I'd say mark off the health that you have, because you would normally have like little circle. Actually, normally you'd have circles, and then you'd have squares that you would then fill in. You can kind of see this as well here. You don't have the damage squares and then dots of what your maximum health is. So instead, what I've come to taking to do is take your health, we have 6, and then fill out what you don't have. So this will allow you to build up in your health, and as you take damage, and then there's your maximum. Willpower is very similar. It is our composure plus our resolve, which gives us 4, and we're going to do the same thing, but with willpower. And in this edition, you can actually not only spend willpower to do things, but if somebody was to, say, talk shit about you, it could damage your willpower, because, I mean, that hurts. That really hurts. Actually has an effect on your mental psyche. We also have our humanity, which normally is 7, but we're dropped down 1 humanity because of feeding type, so we're at 6. Now, this one, you actually will want to fill it out to what you have, because when your humanity is damaged in this edition, you actually will mark off damage markers in your open humanity. So as 6, 10, 9, 8, and 7 is where you would mark off damage. And as those become damaged, that's when you start working towards losing your humanity. And at the end of every session, you actually have a chance to regret those incidences that you caused that cost you humanity points. And in doing so, like, let's say that, oh, I accidentally killed somebody while feeding. Well, that doesn't lose you a humanity. It just, you take a humanity damage. And then at the end of the session, you could actually roll a dice and be like, I regret that. I didn't mean to do that. And so it doesn't actually hurt your humanity. So, yeah. For hunger, all vampires are always hungry. The only way you can actually slate your hunger to a 0 is by murdering somebody. So, almost all characters will always start off with 1 hunger. And with blood potency. We have 1 blood potency because we are a Generation 13. As Generation 13, we actually have a maximum of 3 potency, but starting potency of 1. At 1 potency, we get 1 blood surge dice. So this means that we are capable of adding 1 point in a blood surge to any of our attributes. We can heal 1 point of damage per turn with our mending. Whenever we roll a discipline or a rouse check for a discipline, we can roll 2 dice and pick the highest, or re-roll 1 if we only rolled 1. So that's 1 there as well. Feeding penalty. We have no feeding penalty as a level blood potency 1. And finally, Bane severity is 1 as well. So we also do not gain a power bonus. These are power bonus and feeding penalties are things that come at level 2. So yeah, this is our character. Resonance and hunting. Normally I don't even use hunting. Like, you have a handful of resonances here. So here we have strength and brawl is probably our primary hunting tactic. Doesn't really change too much, but it's a nice thing to throw in there. Resonance, you have 4 resonances. These are your 4 humors. Depending on what your character's doing, what you would taste like. And based on NPCs, what they are doing, what they would taste like. The humor system and the resonance is mostly not that important unless you have a person who has a feeding specialty for one of them, or thin bloods. So you can choose this if you would like, but it's kind of something that's more based off what your character's doing. For example, caloric is somebody who's angry, violent. Melancholy is somebody who's sad and scared. Phlegmatic is somebody who's lazy. And sanguine is somebody who's happy, active, flirty type thing. So my character would probably be caloric. But yeah, here we have our character, Iki. He has a homeless girl that he helps out from time to time, and he wants to do better. He's just really bad at social situations. And yeah, you can go ahead and take this character and build it up and make him your own. Feel free to. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to sign off. Have a wonderful night, and happy hunting.